There are many ways to play the Skyrim. You can chop your enemies with an axe, shoot them with wooden sticks, or blast them with Protoss pylons. A lesser known method, however, involves reverse pickpocketing poison into your opponent's pockets. That's why I decided to ask, can you beat Skyrim by only reverse pickpocketing poison? This means I can only damage enemies by sneaking up behind them and pouring vials of unctuous green, red, and black stuff into their inventory until they go limp or crazy. No donkeys allowed because donkeys aren't poison and you can't put them in your enemy's pockets. I chose to play a Khajiit and named my character Dr. Paz as I was sent by Big Pharma and was on a mission to cure the citizens of Skyrim from the disease of life. At this point, you might be wondering, who is this guy who is blatantly ripping off Mitten Squad's video format? That's not important right now. What is important is that you send this video to Paul and tell him to hire me as a writer. Because after trying to edit this video for more hours than I spent playing the game, I'm retiring from video editing. But I digest. After leaving Helgen, I began my practicum by selecting the Thief Stone so I could better steal life from my enemies. In order to reverse pickpocket poison, pickpocketing must be at level 40. Luckily, it is a skill that can be trained in relative safety. After trying to rob the poor for a while, I set off to see the Jarl. On the way, I saw the companions take down a giant. Alea voiced her disappointment in my level of assistance. I told her I was doing my best, then began collecting cabbages to later consume for the pain in my heart. I practiced sneak while making breakfast, clawed my way through the webs, cut down the no-good thief, and let God enact his vengeance upon him. As I was still an intern, I couldn't do anything but sneak around. Thankfully, that's all I needed for now. I let the cheese grater do the work with the first few enemies, and let the meat slicer finish off the rest before retrieving the dragonstone. I talked to Fagnir, a dragon died, I coughed, ignored Lydia's devotion because I knew deep down I was not worthy of it, then spent a long time trying to scoop up tomatoes with a kettle. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why. I why why is the sky blue? On my way to the Breadbeards, I met my first opponent, a Khajiit assassin from the Dark Brotherhood. We were perfectly matched. I had unlocked the poison perk and was finally able to practice medicine. After waiting for the blanket of night, I was able to crawl up to my nemesis and pump him full of the good chemicals to help him overcome his arthritis. I ran past a troll, figuring he did not need my assistance, sneezed on Enarth, read a funny note about a fellow Khajiit that was clawing up bandit furniture, selected a bandit to test my new remedy on, and quickly realized I would need a lot more medicine if I was going to heal all of Skyrim. So I set out to the Thieves Guild to find a fence to sit on. I talked to Bernjolf and was asked to rough up some jabronis that owed the guild some money. Since I could not brawl, I was forced to administer a healthy dose of laxative in order to collect the outstanding debt. They had a fever, and the only prescription was 6 whole bottles, taken all at once, daily. Bercy's wife did not appreciate me making a house call, and chased me out of her house. But even the guards knew that she was being irrational. However, after a quick, private meeting in the Ratway, we were friends once again. I set off to collect nerd roots and limp stools to brew up a big batch of sauce for the remaining 2 death slaves. Since 6 bottles was a tall order, and Argonians need twice as much since they are lizard people and require inhuman amounts of antibiotics. In hindsight, I'm glad I chose the gentleman's path instead of brawling with these women. However, it was quite heartbreaking when Kariva's would-be fiancé came to clean up my mess and asked if I would help him get a special ring so he could propose to the lusty Argonian maid I had just put to bed. Brynjolf was pretty pissed that I killed all of his clients, but still allowed me to sit on his fence, provided I follow the rules. He asked me to burn some beehives, and, out of guilt, I went and did just that. I figured I could burn a beehive since beehives are not people. I attended the ceremony of the flaming sewer rats, helped a man with his back pain, sat on his chair, opened a safe, and returned to Brynjolf for the last time, before going to bed and forgetting that I had started the Dark Brotherhood questline. I woke in a familiar shed and Astrid asked me to play doctor with her 3 friends. All of her friends were immune to my antidepressant medication, even the antidepressants that cause depression. So I was left with no other choice but to deposit my stimulus package into the only pocket which would accept it. In a twist of fate, I was put on a mission to eliminate my competition and cleanse the Dark Brotherhood. I had never done this before and was slightly anxious. Wasn't there like a little girl in there or something? I gave Arnbjorn some relaxing herbal tea that sent him through the floor, was caught by Vizara, and proceeded to apply my ointment to the back of Fetus, before flipping him over to do his front. The narcoleptic Nazir took well to my sleeping syrup, as did Gabriella. Then I realized that Vizara was onto my tricks, and I had to do it all over again. This time, making sure Vizara suffered the long, lingering side effects of my salves before falling asleep. After billing Commander Morrow, I went back to the sanctuary so I could brew my sauce in peace, but was interrupted by the house spider. I had to lure him away and lock him in the room before returning to my important work. I found Barbarous, a therapy dog. He is a surprise tool we might use later. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm totally cheating if I use Barbarous. And you would be right if Barbarous was a donkey, but he's not a donkey. He's a therapy dog. And no, you can't pet him. He's working right now. So anyways, I talked to Daphne, talked to Argnir, partied in the temple, then closed the door to Daphne's room so she could take me down into her adult tutoring dungeon, where she actually tutored me, and we were off to slay a dragon. Daphne and Barbarous did all the work, and I was off to Melbourne to give him my satchel of remedies before heading off to the Thalmor embassy. It was no pets allowed, so I told Barbarous to stay, put on a new set of party clothes, and left. Razla and the lion made a toast, and I quickly got my things from a chest, for the embassy was filled with living, breathing, life-loving Thalmor, who were in dire need of my vaccines. I sneaked outside and injected my Maximus Gluteus into a guard's Gluteus Maximus, gluing him to the ground. After the coast was clear, I slipped the guard outside the door a refreshing beverage, then slipped myself inside of the building the guard was now incapable of guarding. Next I attended to the soldier inside, then to the interrogator in the dungeon, then pretended to be the interrogator myself for a few moments, before being surprised by 2 nosy Thalmor, who threatened to kill me and my friend if we didn't stop LARPing around in their embassy. I gave them both something for the itch in their nose, and continued LARPing around with the prisoner, who took on the role of Gollum, as we continued on our fantastic adventure. Gollum jumped off a cliff, and I followed, only to watch him get ripped apart by a troll. Melbourne jumped after us, and I had to stand by and watch, as he met the same fate. There was nothing I could do, since trolls don't have health insurance. I talked to Daphne again, and she told me that before the real adult tutoring can begin, I have to rescue her grandfather from the sewers. So there I was, back in the sewers. The Thalmor were waiting for me. I was obliged for them having made the trip. I was getting tired of making house calls. One in particular would not finish his antibiotics, but Daphne's grandfather gave him a good thrashing, and we were soon on our way. Gramps gave me the rundown on the dangers of adult tutoring. Then I talked to Agnir. Agnir was pissed because he wanted to be the sole provider of my adult tutoring classes and sent me to clear skies as punishment for my insolence. I met Paratex and sneezed on him, then talked to Urag, who let me borrow the library books I would need for my studies. Septimus told me where to get the hallucination scroll. Then I left a jar open. I know. It doesn't really fit the theme, but whatever, guys. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm really trying to make this fun for you guys. Okay. So, anyways, I did a sneak, watched a centurion do a whomp, activated a crossbow that did nothing, solved my favorite puzzle, collected the mind-exploding time scroll of adult tutoring, and read it at my special reading spot. This was the moment I was dreading since the beginning. I was hoping that I could dragon rend Alduin while Paradox would melt him with his dragon breath of irony, but halfway through the battle, Parachute suddenly either had something stuck in his throat or was himself stuck in the throat of the world. I had no other choice. I had to resort to my backup plan. I went and collected Barbarous and put on his therapy dog vest, to help me take down the World Eater. At first, Barbarous was pretty scared, but after a while, he charged at Alduin and bit his face off within a matter of minutes. Alduin was hurt, but mostly by my lack of participation, then flew away to a place where therapy dogs were not allowed. Then everyone had to go to the conference room for a meeting. Everyone wanted my opinion, and I felt like the role-playing experience was being infringed upon because the game was starting to feel too much like real life. I told Barbarous that he had been a good boy and took off his therapy dog jacket because his eager self wasn't going to help me lure an airplane into Dragon's Reach. My airplane arrived and accepted a Whiterun guard as tribute. I talked to the airplane, and the airplane agreed to give me a lift if I removed the water bucket stick from its shoulders. I boarded my flight and was off to Cloudtown. Before I could reach Cloudtown, however, I had to try some tactics I had learned from Dark Soul cosplayers. They helped me, but there was nothing I could do to help the already dead Draugr people. I spun some stone things, pulled some levers, and was faced with a new challenge. I needed to secure a diamond claw from the Draugr ahead, but had no means of damaging him. So I had him chase me into a special spot made for idiots like me who are helpless against such powerful foes. I jumped around, tried to make myself look as big as possible, and performed more Dark Soul cosplayer tactics until one of his swings nicked the vase of embers behind him, which fell, ignited the floor, and melted the monster to death. I collected the claw and opened the door and booked it for Sovngarde. Scotty did not beam me up, and I was forced to try again, this time making it in the nick of time. In Cloudtown, I met my son. He was big and tall, just like a son ought to be. I gave him a drink that he could not handle and realized he could not possibly be my son. All my friends came to sneeze the mist away, and the final battle began. Soon Alduin was brought to his knees, and all my friends backed away so I could have all the glory of ending his life. But how could I, after he saved mine, back in Helgen? No one saw that, did they, huh? Alduin is literally your hero, and you have to kill him in the end. What a twist. I tried for a while to hit him with a bottle of sauce. That didn't work. Then I used console commands to set a Stormcloak soldier to level 10 before feeding him a frenzy potion, hoping he would rush in to steal the glory I could not take for myself. Unfortunately, my friends just started blasting before the soldier could do anything. Then I dropped all the sauce on the floor and tried to sneeze it into Alduin's face, over and over again, sneezing my sauce into his face. Nothing worked. I yelled at God to end the World Eater, but even God wouldn't do it, knowing Alduin was innocent, and probably his only son, sent to eat a world which had disappointed God for so long. And so, I was forced to unsheath my claw, and do what I vowed never to do, and gave the scratch of death. Alduin blew his load, left me feeling broken and unfulfilled, and I did not beat Skyrim by only reverse pickpocketing poison. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll do another one. Sneeze out to Paul for pioneering this format. Hope you can afford some nasal strips with all your YouTube dollars, but I digest. This has been Jan, a big Mitten Squad fan, and I'll catch you guys later if enough of you want to hear my stupid jokes again. Bye-bye.